We're gonna go through a couple shrub pests for now. Aphids. You're gonna find aphids on all kinds of plants. Podocarpus, viburnum, ligustrum, oleanders, roses. They come in all kinds of colors, and the color just tells you the species. The good thing about aphids is they're species specific. If they're feeding on a podocarpus, they're not gonna jump off and go feed on a viburnum. Aphids have piercing, sucking mouthparts. All right, scale. Scale and mealybugs. You've all seen this stuff before. This picture right here, this is Florida wax scale. Florida wax scale is gonna stay around the veins of the leaf. You see the pattern in the picture? They stay by the veins because that's the easiest place for them to feed. T-scale, 99.999% of the time, you're only gonna find on the bottom side of a leaf, and it's gonna be on a hard shell leaf like a holly or a camellia. This is cottony cushiony scale. This is the biggest one. Cottony cushiony scale literally will be the size they are in this picture or sometimes bigger. Their main plant is pittosporum. These are mealybugs. Mealybugs are closely related to scale, but you'll actually see the hairs and their tails. Sago palms. Lots of scale, lots of mealybugs, right? All right, the trouble with scales, you have hard scales and soft scales, okay? Hard scales is a tiny little insect. He goes somewhere, finds a spot, sticks his mouth in, and then will start secreting a fluid, and he makes a house. So to control an insect, I have to get the insecticide to the bug. When a hard scale builds a house like this Florida wax scale, and I come and I spray on top of the leaf, I'm not touching the bug. So we use systemic insecticides. That way I spray it on the plant takes it in, it moves through the bloodstream, and then when the scale is feeding on the plant, it's taking it in. They don't really build armor, but they take all their dead relatives and put them on top of themselves. Or they dig up under them. So the scale you see on sagos, right? The scale on sagos is called Asian cycad scale. There can be up to 10,000 insects per square inch of foliage. So they take their dead cousins and uncles and aunts and they just crawl up under them until, you know, they're covered. What type of mouth parts do you think these guys have? Piercing, sucking. Who knows? Who's seen this stuff? The black stuff on a leaf.
Sooty mold.
Yep.
Sooty mold. Sooty mold is a flag, is a red flag. If you walk by a plant and it's got sooty mold all over it, that tells you you got bugs. All right? Any insect with a piercing, sucking mouth part on a shrub, they're eating the chlorophyll, they're sucking out what we call honeydew. So they don't process all the honeydew. They eat, it runs through them, they poop out the honeydew, and that drops from where the insects are onto the tops of the leaves. Sooty mold grows on the honeydew. Now there's other insects that depend on the honeydew too. Ant colonies. Fire ants love it. So fire ants will actually go into a shrub and they will pick up these aphids. They will pick up the aphids and move them to different parts of the plant to bring their food closer. And then they'll protect them. So when a ladybug comes around trying to eat that aphid, the ants go, no, not today. Let's do a couple more and then we'll take a walk. What's this guy? I know everybody's seen this guy before. Oleander caterpillar. Very specific. Oleander caterpillar. Bonus points if anyone can tell me what this is. I put this one on here because it is no good for you. This is called an IO caterpillar. This is venomous. I took a hit off of one of these one time. My hand swelled up to a baseball glove and stayed for like 3 days. Yeah, see these spines? If you touch that, you're done. There's 5 types of venomous caterpillars in Florida. I'm not going to teach you all of them. But a pus caterpillar will put you in the hospital. What kind of mouth part? Chewing. Whiteflies. Whiteflies are important. We don't see a whole lot in Jacksonville, but there are some. Big deal with whiteflies is they swarm. So you're talking thousands and thousands in one spot. They have a piercing, sucking mouth part. They will turn a crepe myrtle black in like 3 days. Who's seen this kind of thing? You ever seen that on like an orange tree? So these are called leaf miners. An adult leaf miner is a fly. And the fly comes, he lands on the leaf, and they inject their eggs below the leaf tissue. When the baby comes out, so the egg turns into a what? A larva. That larva tunnels through the leaf, eating the leaf tissue, and that's what creates this right here. This is a real problem on food. Spider mites. Spider mites you're not going to see a whole lot. But this guy in real life is that big or smaller. You get a lot on juniper, you get it on cypress. The only way you can find it is you take the plant, you shake it over some paper, and you just look for dots that are moving. The worst thing about the spider mite is it attacks plants that don't really grow. So if a spider mite attacks this juniper, and you can see some damage in here, that damage on a plant that small, that damage will still take 2 years to come back. So it's real important that you know your plants, you know how they grow, you know how they like to grow, because then you know I need to pay attention to this, because if it gets hurt, it ain't coming back. Okay, remember the key to diagnosing damage, right? See this leaf? Symmetry. What is this? What are these spots? What do you think that is? Is that symmetrical or not? No. This is asymmetrical. So asymmetrical automatically tells me it's a living organism. It's a bug or a fungus. This is leaf spot. This is the same thing we just looked at. This is intimasporum leaf spot on an Indian hawthorn. Everyone should know this plant. It's a ligustrum. So that's a ligustrum with Cercospora leaf spot. So when you think about plant fungi, it's just like you having a cold. You always have a cold virus. This hawthorn always has leaf spot. If I came here for the next couple weeks and put water on top of this plant, that leaf spot would pop, because Indian hawthorn doesn't like overhead watering, period. So the fungus is always inside the plants. It's just waiting for the culture to make it explode. Make sense? Yeah? Let's go find some stuff.